The president is accused of overstating his wealth and property values in order to receive better loan deals and cheaper insurance coverage. Earlier this year, the judge in this case already ruled that Donald Trump and others were responsible for fraud. This current trial focuses on additional accusations, including altering business records, working together to deceive, and committing insurance fraud. Before walking into the courtroom, in the images you just saw, Mr. Cover, Trump denied any wrongdoing and used the moment to attack the New York Attorney General. She had already prepared her response before he even spoke. Trump said, "This is a horrible, horrible situation. These are political activists I'm dealing with right now. You have a racist Attorney General who has made awful statements. We're seeing even more reports coming out today. This is a very sad moment for our country." The Attorney General responded by saying, "At the end of the day, the only things that matter are the facts and the numbers. And numbers do not lie." Now, this is massive news, and we need to break it down clearly. Judge Arthur Engoron has just completely torn apart Trump's legal defenses and has approved the immediate confiscation of Trump's assets to enforce a $464 million fraud judgment against him personally. This decision was issued on December 28, 2025, and it represents what many are calling the beginning of the collapse of Trump's real estate and business empire. Judge Engoron released a detailed 92-page ruling stating that Trump's defenses were baseless, misleading, and without any legal value. The judge officially authorized New York Attorney General Letitia James to start taking Trump's properties right away, with no delays. The judge did not hold back. He directly stated that Trump's arguments were destroyed, offering no leniency in his decision. This is a sitting judge instructing prosecutors to immediately move forward and seize the sitting president's assets. The properties involved include Seven Springs, Trump's large estate and golf property valued at over $100 million Trump National Doral in Florida, estimated at around $150 million multiple Trump golf courses in New York and other locations, Trump's New York bank accounts, which are now being frozen. This is not a hypothetical situation anymore. This is real asset seizure happening right now in real time. This is no longer legal theory, courtroom strategy, or procedural debate. This is the direct enforcement of a massive fraud judgment against Trump personally. And here is what makes this moment historic. This is the first time in U.S. history that a sitting president's assets are being seized and taken to satisfy a court ruling. This is the first time this has ever happened. We are now in completely uncharted territory. Judge Arthur Engoron made it clear Trump's lies have been torn apart, and the judgment must be carried out immediately and in full, with no leniency. Trump tried everything possible to stop this moment. He tried to post bonds to delay his property being taken, but failed again and again. He tried to claim immunity from the judgment. He claimed he had secret or hidden accounts that could cover the amount. He used every legal argument and delay tactic available. Judge Engoron rejected every single one. In his ruling, the judge called Trump's claims of hidden money and immunity frivolous lies. He said the judgment is lawful, valid, and enforceable and must be executed right now without further delay. And now, New York has begun seizing Trump's assets in real time. Trump is completely unraveling. He is posting angry, emotional rants on Truth Social, calling this an illegal raid, claiming he will issue pardons, saying it's fake news, and accusing the court of being rigged against him. But here's the reality. Trump can't escape. Trump cannot pardon himself out of a New York State case. Presidential pardons do not apply to state crimes or state judgments. Trump has no authority to issue pardons at the New York State level. He is cornered. There is no legal escape route left. Trump's assets are being taken right now, and there is very little he can do at this stage. This is the moment legal experts warned about for years. This is Trump running out of legal runway and finally facing the real-world consequences of the fraud judgment against him. But before we continue, let's be honest for a moment. You can't fully trust mainstream media anymore. That's why Pump Politics exists, to bring real stories, real context, and zero corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, and if you want to support independent reporting, join us and become part of a community that actually cares about the truth. Now, let's get back to the news. We go now to Scannell. Do we have a ruling in the Donald Trump civil fraud case? Yes, we do. The ruling just came in. It is 92 pages long, and we're reviewing it right now. Looking at the financial totals, the judge ordered combined penalties across all defendants of roughly $362 million. Breaking it down further, the portion tied specifically to Donald Trump and the Trump Organization comes to about $354 million. That figure is very close to what the New York Attorney General originally requested, around $370 million. There are many figures and calculations involved, but the key takeaway is this. Donald Trump personally faces a judgment of approximately $354 million. Here's how we reached this devastating moment where Trump's business empire is being dismantled by court order. Judge Arthur Engoron presided over this New York fraud case for years. The case centered on accusations that Trump and his organization inflated asset values to secure better loan terms and lower insurance costs. Prosecutors argued Trump misrepresented his net worth and exaggerated property values to gain financial advantages from banks and insurers. The case went to trial in New York. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. Accountants explained valuation methods. Financial experts laid out the scale and depth of the fraud. After reviewing everything, Judge Engoron issued a judgment of $464 million plus interest against Trump. That is an enormous sum, one that would be difficult for almost anyone to pay. But Trump refused to pay. He refused to post a sufficient bond. He tried to appeal repeatedly. He fought the judgment in every court possible. Judge Engoron finally said enough, no more delays. No more excuses. No more mercy. The judge stated Trump's defenses were baseless, fabricated, and designed only to stall enforcement. He ruled the judgment must be enforced immediately. Judge Engoron then authorized New York Attorney General Letitia James to begin seizing Trump's assets right away to satisfy the judgment. And that is exactly what is happening now. New York is actively moving against Trump's properties. New York is going after his golf courses and real estate holdings. New York is taking control of valuable Trump assets. Trump is panicking because this time it's not legal theory. It's not headlines. It's not future consequences. His actual assets are being taken right now. This is real. This is what real accountability looks like for Donald Trump for essentially the first time in his entire life. The specific properties that are now being actively targeted for seizure include Seven Springs, Trump's golf club and estate in Westchester County, valued at well over $100 million. Seven Springs is a crown jewel of Trump's real estate portfolio. It's a property where Trump has spent years with his family, hosted high-profile events, and conducted major business dealings. And now, it is being actively moved towards seizure to help pay the fraud judgment. But that's not even the biggest asset involved. Trump National Doral in Florida is also being seized. That property is valued at approximately $150 million. Doral is one of Trump's flagship golf resorts and one of his most valuable properties nationwide. And now, it is being taken out of his control. Trump is also losing his golf clubs in New York. His New York bank accounts are being frozen and levied. He is losing other high-value real estate holdings across the country. And during the seizure process, something else came to light that made matters even worse for Trump. Attorney General Letitia James uncovered shell transfers, showing that Trump had been moving assets around in an attempt to hide them from the judgment. Trump was trying to conceal money using shell companies and transfers to avoid paying what he owes. Judge Arthur Engoron discovered this and was furious. That discovery is a major reason the judge wrote, "Claims destroyed, no mercy," in his ruling. With interest continuing to accumulate, the total judgment now exceeds $500 million. That is an enormous sum, one that would need to be paid either in cash or through forced asset seizures. Trump does not currently have a sufficient bond in place to stop the seizures. He failed repeatedly to post an adequate bond. He tried to secure bonds from various questionable companies. He tried to offer collateral and properties as guarantees. But he could not obtain a bond large enough to satisfy the court. So now, the asset seizure is underway, and Trump is panicking. He is posting angry social media rants, calling it an illegal raid, promising pardons, and claiming everything is fake and rigged against him. But the reality is simple. The asset seizure is real. The court order is real and binding. Attorney General James is actively moving forward. This is massive. This is historic. This is Trump's actual business empire being dismantled in real time. This is Trump finally facing real consequences for the fraud judgment. This is no longer theoretical. This is no longer hypothetical. This is happening right now, in December 2025. Legal experts who have followed this case for years are saying this is exactly what they expected once Trump ran out of legal options. Now let's break down exactly what Judge Engoron said in his detailed 92-page ruling and why it is so devastating for Trump. Judge Engoron stated that every defense Trump raised in this case was a frivolous lie, completely baseless, and without legitimate legal merit. Trump claimed he had hidden accounts and secret assets that could pay the judgment. Judge Engoron called that claim a fabrication, with zero evidence to support it. When investigators reviewed Trump's finances, they instead found shell transfers, showing Trump was actively trying to hide money from the judgment. So Trump was claiming he had hidden assets that could pay while simultaneously trying to conceal his actual assets. That is essentially fraud on top of fraud. That's why the judge said, "Claims destroyed, no mercy." Trump kept lying even after the judgment was issued. Trump also claimed immunity due to his status as president. Judge Engoron ruled that immunity does not apply to state fraud cases and does not protect Trump from enforcement under New York law. Trump argued the judgment amount was too large and unfair. Judge Engoron ruled the amount was fully supported by trial evidence and expert testimony. Trump claimed he did not commit fraud in his business operations. Judge Engoron said the evidence clearly and conclusively proves that Trump did commit fraud. Trump tried every possible argument and every single one was rejected. Judge Engoron stated that throughout this case, Trump's strategy was to tell repeated lies, make false claims, and attempt to delay or escape the judgment. The judge made it clear, enough is enough. No more delays. No more falsehoods. Judge Engoron wrote, "Claims destroyed, no mercy." The judgment must be executed fully and immediately. This is a judge who has completely lost patience with Trump's legal maneuvers, delay tactics, and ongoing dishonesty. What makes this even more damaging is that Judge Engoron has dealt with Trump's contempt citations, courtroom disruptions, and outbursts for years. This case has been a long-running courtroom meltdown, and the judge has finally brought it to an end. Judge Arthur Engoron has repeatedly had to sanction Donald Trump for violating gag orders and court directives throughout this case. He has been forced to control Trump's behavior inside the courtroom. He personally observed Trump lie again and again and make false statements repeatedly during the proceedings. He watched Trump attempt to pressure and intimidate witnesses and judges through social media attacks and public rants. By the end of this case, Judge Engoron had completely had enough. Now, Trump faces additional contempt warnings if he does not comply with the seizure orders going forward. If Trump tries to block the seizure, hide more assets, or interfere with enforcement, he could face new contempt charges on top of everything else. Judge Engoron made his position clear. The judgment is final, complete, and must be enforced immediately, with no mercy. The judge ruled that New York may begin seizing assets right away. He stated there is no reason for any further delay, given Trump's long pattern of baseless claims and repeated falsehoods. Judge Engoron also pointed out that Trump had ample time to either pay the judgment or post a proper bond, and failed over and over again. Because of that failure, asset seizure is now authorized and underway. Attorney General Letitia James now has full legal power to pursue Trump's assets, and Trump's real estate empire is being taken apart piece by piece. This is no longer something Trump can talk his way out of or delay endlessly. The time for delays is over. Under New York law, Attorney General James can go directly to Trump's banks and demand immediate payment from his accounts. And that is exactly what is happening. Trump's New York bank accounts are being levied and frozen right now as part of this enforcement process. These levies began immediately after Trump's failed attempts to post bonds that did not meet court requirements. If Trump's accounts do not contain enough funds to cover the judgment, Attorney General James can then seize Trump's properties and real estate holdings without delay. That is why Seven Springs is being targeted. Trump National Doral is being targeted. Trump's golf clubs are being targeted. These are Trump's most valuable and accessible assets. They are also the easiest to seize and convert into cash to satisfy the judgment. Attorney General James is starting with the highest value assets first. Trump National Doral alone is worth about $150 million. Seven Springs is worth over $100 million. Together, those two properties alone represent a large portion of the total judgment. If those assets do not fully cover the judgment plus interest, Attorney General James will continue systematically targeting other Trump properties until the entire amount is paid. This is real. This is happening now. This is not theoretical or hypothetical. As we speak, New York State marshals and legal authorities are actively working to carry out this judgment against Trump's assets. Another critical point: Trump is running out of legal options to stop this process. He has appealed this case multiple times. He has lost every appeal decisively. Every defense he raised was rejected. Judge Engoron labeled them frivolous lies. Higher courts have fully upheld Judge Engoron's ruling. There is nowhere else for Trump to go legally. Trump could try to seek an emergency stay from a higher court, but that would require posting a large bond. Trump cannot post such a bond. He lacks sufficient liquid assets and has already failed repeatedly to secure proper bonding. So Trump is effectively trapped. He cannot stop the seizure through legal means anymore. His only remaining option would be to negotiate a settlement with Attorney General James. But Attorney General James has made it clear she is not interested in settling or reducing the judgment. She intends to fully enforce the ruling and seize Trump's assets until it is satisfied. She has pursued this case for years and is not backing down now that enforcement is finally possible. And this is all happening while Trump faces multiple legal crises at the same time. Trump is dealing with the New York fraud judgment and asset seizure, the Epstein files controversy, including allegations of deletions and obstruction, the public release of Jack Smith deposition testimony, legal challenges to his executive orders, multiple lawsuits and investigations simultaneously. Everything is hitting Trump at once. And now, on top of all of it, his assets are being seized. This is devastating, politically, legally, and financially. Trump's empire is being dismantled in real time. His wealth is being used to pay a fraud judgment. This is real accountability, likely for the first time in his life. For decades, Trump avoided consequences through delay tactics, legal maneuvering, and outlasting opponents. That no longer works. The judgment is final. The seizure is underway. And Judge Engoron has shown no mercy. So let's be clear about what this means. Going forward into 2026 and beyond, Trump is now facing actual asset seizure, real enforcement of a massive fraud judgment. Immediate financial consequences. Seven Springs is being seized right now. Trump National Doral is being seized right now. Trump's New York bank accounts are frozen right now. Trump's golf clubs are being taken right now. Trump's real estate holdings are being seized right now. This is no longer a warning. This is happening. This is Trump actually and finally facing real consequences for fraud. This is completely different from anything else Trump has dealt with because his actual wealth and assets are being taken away. This is Trump's empire being dismantled brick by brick, asset by asset. Trump is literally losing his properties and money right now. And there is nothing he can do to stop it because he has exhausted every legal option and appeal. This is also the first time in U.S. history that a sitting president has had assets seized to satisfy a court judgment. First time ever. We are witnessing history, and it's completely unprecedented. Number one, what this means for Trump's financial situation. Trump's most valuable properties are being seized to pay the fraud judgment. That means Trump now has fewer assets available for other purposes. He has less liquid wealth to use. This could make it harder for him to post bonds in other cases. It could also make it harder for him to pay for his legal defense in other serious matters. This seizure affects Trump's entire financial position. It weakens his ability to fight other legal battles. Losing hundreds of millions of dollars in assets creates cascading problems across all of his legal and financial situations. Trump was already having trouble posting bonds before this started because no company wanted to take on the risk. Number two, the political impact. This is devastating politically for Trump. We are already seeing it in the polls. Trump's approval rating has dropped to just 34%, which is extremely low for a sitting president. This damages his empire and gives Democrats constant ammunition against him. Democrats are going to say, Trump is a convicted fraudster. His assets were seized by the courts. He cannot be trusted with power. They will use this in every political communication to motivate voters and raise money ahead of the 2026 midterms. Republicans will defend Trump, saying this is political persecution, but the fact remains his assets are being seized to satisfy a fraud judgment. The optics are terrible and unprecedented. Major GOP donors are already pulling back, distancing themselves because this damages the party's image. When your biggest supporters start abandoning you, that's a serious political problem. Number 3, the impact on Trump's brand and business empire. Trump built his image on being a successful businessman, real estate developer, and deal maker. Now, his real estate assets are being seized, his golf clubs are being taken, his flagship property, Doral, is being seized. His empire is being taken apart piece by piece, which massively damages his brand. It undermines his claim of being a successful businessman. It shows him as a fraudster who committed fraud and is now being punished. Trump has always projected wealth, power, and invincibility. This seizure completely shatters that image. He is not untouchable. He is facing real consequences for the first time. Number 4, what happens next? Once Seven Springs, Doral, and the golf clubs are seized, Attorney General James will sell them to the highest bidders. Seven Springs will be sold. Doral will be sold, the golf clubs will be sold, Trump will no longer own them, and the money from the sales will go directly toward the judgment. If there's still money owed after these sales, Attorney General James will continue seizing other Trump assets. This will create a cascade of asset seizures, systematically dismantling Trump's empire to fully satisfy the court judgment. This is real, unprecedented, and happening right now. Trump is losing his assets, his wealth, and his empire, all while facing multiple other legal battles. This is history in real time, and Trump has no way to stop it legally. This is Trump losing his real estate empire piece by piece over time. This process could take months or even years to fully complete, depending on how many assets need to be seized and sold. And if Trump tries to interfere with the process or hide more assets or obstruct the seizure in any way, Trump faces serious contempt warnings that could make his legal situation even worse than it already is. So, well, the asset seizure is going to continue moving forward relentlessly. Attorney General James is going to keep seizing Trump's assets systematically. Trump is going to keep fighting it in court repeatedly. But Trump is losing every legal fight. Trump has lost every legal argument he's raised. Trump has no good options left available to him. Trump can either negotiate a settlement with Attorney General James or watch his assets be seized one by one. And Attorney General James doesn't look interested in settling or reducing the judgment at all. So Trump's assets are going to keep being taken away systematically until the judgment is fully satisfied. The bigger picture and context is that Trump is finally facing real consequences for his actions for the first time in his entire life. Trump's assets are being seized. Trump's wealth is being used to satisfy a fraud judgment. Trump's empire is being dismantled. This is unprecedented in Trump's life and in American presidential history. Trump has never faced anything like this before, and it's absolutely devastating for Trump politically and financially and personally. His approval rating has dipped to 34%. His major donors are bolting and fleeing. His properties are being taken. This is going to define Trump's presidency moving forward. This is going to shape how people think about Trump for years to come. Trump is a fraudster who had his assets seized by the courts. That's the narrative that's going to follow him forever. And there's nothing Trump can do about it at this point, legally or practically. The judgment is final and the seizure is happening, and there's no mercy from Judge Anger. And stick around, because this situation is going to continue developing rapidly over the coming weeks and months. More assets are going to be seized. More drama is going to unfold. More consequences are going to hit Trump. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of it when it happens.